Hello and welcome to the I'm Done Dieting Now What podcast. My name is Michaela. I'm a registered dietitian and I'm also known as the Food Peace Nutritionist on Instagram. So, a huge welcome. If you are here and you don't know me from Instagram, I am a registered dietitian who specializes in intuitive eating and helping you heal your relationship with food and your body image. So, that means if you are currently struggling with an eating disorder, disordered eating, binge eating, overeating, food obsession, thinking about food, food guilt, any of those things, body image, you are in the right place. We are going to talk all things. I will give you tools, support, education here. So I'm so excited to get started. So with that being said, I am new to the podcast game, so bear with me as I learn the ropes. It may look a little bit messy, but I'm here ultimately to provide you all with support, and that's what matters most. So today, during this first episode, I'm going to share a little bit more about me, so you know who all this information is coming from, a little bit about me, a little bit about my story. So yeah, let's get into it. And first off, a little bit about me that's not food and body image related. I'm originally from Jacksonville, Florida, and I currently live in San Diego. I am 28 years old, and that's really about it. I'll get to more in my story, but those are just the logistics about me. Um, but starting off, my story starts. It really starts like before middle school, but in sixth grade. So, first off, I grew up as a dancer, specifically a ballerina. And as you all know, or you may know, the dance world can be a beautiful world, but also a very cruel world in the sense of body image and body types and ideals. So, I've been dancing since I was 3, and when I hit about sixth grade, that's when my body started to change, and I started to get comments about my body and needing to lose weight. And when I went through puberty, I started to develop a little bit earlier than the other girls, and so I remember it was just like a little bit more harped on me because I did have curves, and that was just not allowed in the dance world. So I started heavily restricting because, again, also my friends, being around them, they ate barely anything. So I had to fit in, and that's exactly what I did. So it got to the point where I was really struggling at about eighth grade. I made the choice to stop ballet and transition to hip hop, more of a just body body neutral place where you did not have to be a certain body type. So that's what ended up happening there. But at the same time, I remember going to the doctors and I was not underweight. I was eating such a little amount of food, if anything, and also there was purging involved. But I was not underweight. And that was one thing that I was not able to get the support I needed because I was not underweight. So that taught me that you have to be underweight to have an eating disorder, and I was not sick enough. It was not bad enough, even though I was literally starving. So that was a struggle too. So I ended up not being able to get the support I needed because my body did not look like it had an eating disorder. And that is a very big thing today because a lot of times we think we are not sick enough because of our body shape and size, or if we live in a bigger body, then, it's impossible to have an eating disorder, right? But that could not be further from the truth. And that is something that I learned very young, and I hope you all know that as well. So, fast forward into high school. So I stopped dancing, but then I started binge eating. And now I know that it is a very normal thing to go from not eating anything to binge eating. It's a part of the cycle, it's a part of your body protecting you. But at that time in high school, so I started binge eating the end of my freshman year all the way up until my freshman year of college. But that was a very low point. High school was hard for me just because I had no control over food. I was obsessing over food. That was also the clean eating era, the Pinterest board, models, all of that, and I felt so alone because I could not eat a cupcake, just one, at a party with my friends. I literally remember, um, just going home, and on the way home, this was when I just learned, I just had my driver's license. I would, on the way home, go by like the grocery store and grab like a pint of ice cream, cupcakes, a thing of cookies, and go eat it all because I had that one cupcake at the party, and it was that all or nothing, and I would devour it all. And it was back on the diet that Monday. So I was just in this constant cycle, and everyone around me seemed to be fine with food, and that really took a toll of feeling like you're alone, the shame, and just really trying to hide it. And another thing was binge eating was not a thing. Like, I had no idea it was a thing. I just thought I needed more willpower, discipline, control, um, because again, none of my friends were struggling with this. It was just me. So, I kept trying to control my way out of the restrict binge cycle, and, I couldn't do it. And that was until my freshman year of college. I knew something was wrong. I knew that it was not normal to live in this state of eating everything then eating nothing. So I looked up nutritionists. I had no idea what a dietitian was, but I remember looking up nutritionists and like eating a lot of food at once and like eating disorders. I was just looked I remember Googling it with my new laptop for college, and I found this dietitian. She specialized in eating disorders and intuitive eating, and I was like, okay, I need to reach out and I need to ask for help because I cannot do this by myself. I have spent years trying to do this by myself, and I'm getting nowhere. And that was a very big thing for me. I don't like to ask for help. I try to do things myself always first. So this was another big life lesson of, it's okay to ask for help, especially if you're struggling. So I reached out to her and she changed my life. I spent all my college graduation money on her, and she was worth every penny, because I would not be where I am now without her and her support. So that was my turning point. From there, it was a lot of work. I learned a lot of things about myself. I learned a lot of things about triggers and body image because while I was binging, I was gaining weight. And, dealing with that too of going from this place of like being a dancer and a ballerina, it's like all those voices started popping up in my head of like, oh my gosh, what are they going to think of you now? And other people's opinions are a huge thing for me when it comes to body image, and I had to navigate that as well. So there was a lot of things going on, and she helped me through a lot of it to the point where at the end of my freshman year, I changed my major from nursing to becoming a dietitian because after she helped me, I was like, I know there are other people struggling with food and their body, and if I can help, I want to help because I don't want anyone to feel the way I felt for so many years. So that opened the door to just learning more about nutrition and food, and learning that the schooling to become a dietitian is super disordered and weight centric. And I realized that a lot of the people I was going to school with, I was like, wow, like a lot of people are struggling with food here. So that was another interesting piece. But I was able to get alternate assignments and things like that as needed, because I was struggling with an eating disorder. And actually in my schooling, I remember feeling very like there was a stigma against eating disorders, even like within my peers. Of I was scared to tell anyone I had an eating disorder just because there was so much judgment around eating disorders. I feel like no one wanted to admit their struggles with food in the dietetic space. So that was a very interesting thing for me of just not feeling safe to even talk about my own struggles within my peers who are all becoming dietitians. So that's just a little side note there of just even within the field of dietetics, there is like it's not talked about. So of course it's not talked about in society, like in general in society either. So kind of cemented that in my brain. But once I became a dietitian, my first job was in bariatrics. And if you don't know what bariatrics is, it is weight loss surgery. And, as a new RD, I had volunteer work in bariatric offices through college. And what I had noticed, well, I had volunteer work, which is how I got my first job as in bariatrics as a dietitian. What I had noticed is that this really cemented in me that eating disorders do not discriminate when it comes to size. The patients pre-op and post-op that I was counseling and talking with all had eating disorders. And the weight loss did not fix the body image. There was still body dysmorphia. There was still self-hatred. And that really, again, cemented in me that eating disorders don't have a size. You can have an eating disorder at any size, and weight loss does not change it. And also, weight loss does not cure negative body image, because no matter how much weight my patients would lose, they were still not happy. And then this obsession with keeping the weight off came. And then the quality of life started to dwindle. And so, through my experiences, it has brought me to be this dietitian in the anti-diet space, the health at every size space. And it brought me to start my own practice in the summer of 2020. That's when I started my Instagram, and that is the reason why I created my Food and Body Peace program, to let you all know that you are not alone, to make you feel seen and heard, and no matter what your body size is, you are deserving of support, of healing, because again, eating disorders, disordered eating does not have a look. It's a mental health disorder. And so, again, you are worthy, deserving of support no matter what. And so to wrap this up, that's a little bit about me, about my story, and what brought me to come into this space. And so I want you to know, lastly, that no matter what age, what size, where you come from, you can heal. Healing is possible. A lot of times that we have this question of, is it even possible? Is intuitive eating possible? Is it possible to get to a place where you feel peace of food in your body? And I promise you, it is possible. And so I hope to teach you more on this podcast. But until then, I will talk to you all soon.